Good morning and welcome to Game Changers Devotional. We're certainly glad to have you on the call this morning, and we don't believe anybody shows up on this call by accident. I want to remind you that if you would just invite other folks to jump on the call with us, you can do that by just sharing your call-in number. Also, I'd like to ask that as a part of our housekeeping here that you go ahead and mute your phones so that any background noise will be eliminated and we won't have any problems with someone being distracted because of it. Don't forget you can find all of our episodes on Spotify and on YouTube. You can just search for Game Changers Devotional and it will pop up. This morning I'll be leading our devotional, and my name is Michael Pate, and it's a privilege for me to be able to lead the devotional. And I want to start out by asking you this: how often do you tie your worth to what you do? How much of our identity gets wrapped up in our job, our responsibilities, the roles we play every day? When things are going well, everything's, just fine, it's easy to be confident. But when the seasons change, or maybe our role shifts or something ends, why does it suddenly feel like that the ground has been pulled or has been moved out from underneath us? Paul speaks about this in Galatians 2:20. He says, I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. And the life I now live in the body, I live by faith and in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. Paul isn't saying he stopped being himself. He's saying his identity no longer came from performance or from positions or approval. His life was now anchored in Christ. So many of us, including me, we've been guilty a lot of times of living by our resume instead of by our faith. We carry around invisible name tags like provider, leader, failure, or success. But when Christ enters our life, he doesn't polish those old labels, those old tags that we wear. He removes them, and he writes one, and it's in truth, and he's written it over our heart, and that is child of God. In 1 Corinthians 7:31, it says that this world and everything in it is temporary. And that includes the roles that we play. Like I said before, jobs end, our children will grow up, seasons will shift, and when our identity is tied to something temporary, change can often feel really devastating. I want you to think about an actor on stage. One night he might be playing the part of a king, and that particular play has had its run and it ends. But the next night he starts a new play, and he's playing the part of a beggar. And the roles have changed, but that actor is still the same. Life works that way. You may lead in one season, and you may be the learner in another season. You may feel strong today and unsure about tomorrow. But your role is not your identity. It's just where you're serving right now. That's why in Colossians 3:3 is reassuring to us. For you died, and your life is now hidden with Christ in God. Hidden, secure, and safe. That's where we are. And your true identity isn't based on what people see. It's based on what God says you are. I want you to imagine a strong oak tree that's out in your front yard or maybe somebody else's front yard. The leaves are green at one time during the year. They change colors, and then they turn brown, and they may fall off. But that tree's still alive because the roots stay firm. And when your identity is rooted in Christ, life can shake you, but it doesn't have to uproot you. That should bring peace to you to know that when everything feels uncertain, who you are in Christ remains steady. Ephesians 2:10 says, For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. And look at that order. You don't gain value by doing good things. You do good things because you already have value. Your identity comes first. Your roles that flow out of it come last. When you know who you are in Christ, you bring confidence, grace, and purpose into all of your different areas of life, your work, your family, your relationships. And when you start realizing that, it's freeing to stop trying to prove your worth, because you don't have to, because it's in Christ. Your role that you play every day matters, but those are just merely assignments. They're not definitions. They are where you serve, not who you are. And when jobs change and seasons change, one thing is going to remain constant, and that's Jesus Christ. And because he doesn't change, your identity in him doesn't change either. So I want you to rest on that truth today. Think about that. Your identity doesn't change because of your identity in Christ. You are loved and accepted, and you're secure, not because of what you do, but because of who he is and what he's already done. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the day. Thank you for all that you've given us, dear God. We lift up those who are in harm's way during this weather, dear God. Those families who have lost loved ones because of the weather, dear God. We just pray for them, and that you'll give them comfort and peace. I just pray that you be with those of us that will be traveling on the road, dear God, and going into situations that may still be icy, dear God, that you would have your hand of protection on us, and we keep us from harm, dear God. I just pray that you would be with all the people on the call, their families, dear God. We lift them up to you, and we love them and know you love them too, dear God. I pray that you would keep us all safe and bring us back safely next week, and thank you again for all that you've done. I want to thank you for joining us today on Game Changers Devotional. I hope that something that was said today makes a difference in your life, and remind you to encourage others maybe to join us by just sharing our call-in number and let them jump on the call and give us a try. And we'll be back here next Wednesday at the same time, same number. So go ahead, and if you want to, set a reminder in your phone. And until then, stay strong, stay faithful, and keep being a game changer in the world around you today. God bless everybody.